TikToks that feel illegal to watch. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Okay, China, you want to get in a trade war with us? We're going to put over 100% tariff on all of your exported goods. How you like that? All right, cool. Fine by me. Why don't you care? Yeah, your American companies that claim to make everything in America actually just repackage what we manufacture and then charge your American consumer over 1,000%. So we'll just sell directly to them and they'll actually save a lot more money. So thanks for that. Wait, what? What are you talking about? How? Lululemon charges $100 for a single pair of leggings. They can get the same exact thing from us for $3 to $6. 100% tariff, they're still getting an 80% discount. Wait, but that's not fair. And you don't even want me to get started on your luxury products like Louis Vuitton and Birkenstock that charges $3,000 a bag, where we make it for them for a fraction of the price. And get this, you have a loophole where tariffs don't apply for Americans that consume under $800. Yeah, okay, Americans might be able to do that if they knew how to contact the manufacturers. That's the best part. All of us Chinese manufacturers are going on TikTok and telling you Americans exactly where and how to buy their favorite products. Wait, no, don't do that. Don't fight back. Or we're going to show you just exactly how petty we can be.
Let me know how you feel about that. It's true. A lot of manufacturers on TikTok now.
The happened to Jenna Ortega, y'all? This the same girl that played Wednesday? The same girl that was on a Beetlejuice movie? Y'all trying to tell me that's her? If so, that's crazy to me, y'all. She looked different. Am I tripping? Look at the picture, y'all. Look at her jawline. It is a little sharp set, but look at her jaw. Look at her eyebrows. Look at her whole head. Come on, y'all. That is night and day. Can't y'all see the difference? What, she got a whole makeover or some shit? Nah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not crazy. But that don't look like Jenna Ortega to me, y'all. Look, I know people change. I know people grow up. I know they change their hairstyle, hair color. But her whole face is different. All I'm saying is, y'all know how Hollywood is. The crazy thing is, I'm not the only one that's saying this. It's numerous of people saying it. And she's been quiet. Quiet as of late. Like, not a peep. And she's normally not that quiet. Y'all can call it glow up, grow up, all you want. I'm just saying, that ain't the Jenna Ortega I know.
How about plastic surgery? Have you heard about that?
At breaking news that has Australia on alert. Russia this afternoon triggering alarm as it seeks to base several long-range aircraft in Indonesia, just 1,300 kilometres from our coast. Nine political editor Charles Croucher is following the developments. Charles, good afternoon to you. What more do we know?
Hey, Ali. Well, this request was reportedly first made in February, but has just come to light now through to an online defence publication. Moscow requesting access to an airbase in Indonesia's east. It's about 1,300 kilometres north of Darwin. Russia and Indonesia held bilateral naval drills for the first time last year, so the relationship is developing. But also last year, Indonesia signed a defence cooperation agreement with Australia. Jakarta has repeatedly asserted that it has a non-aligned foreign policy. Here is our Prime Minister, Opposition Leader and Defence Minister this afternoon.
We obviously do not want to see Russian influence in our region, very clearly.
This would be a catastrophic failure of diplomatic relations if Penny Wong and Anthony Albanese didn't have forewarning about this before it was made public. This is a very, very troubling development.
We have a very close relationship with Indonesia. We have a growing defence relationship with Indonesia. We have already been engaged with Indonesia on this request. I'd note that at this point Indonesia has not responded.
So we wait and hope to work with Indonesia on that response. Richard Marles has formed a close relationship with Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto when they were both Defence Minister. Peter Dutton has also been Defence Minister with President Prabowo. So they will be prominent figures in our discussions with our neighbours to the north. But this is now another international factor, Ali, that is sneaking into our domestic election.
Yeah, we just elected a new president. Hey, but you know, Nostradamus' prediction in 2037, Indonesia would go to war with Australia, but I rebuke it in the name of Jesus.
Liars typically accidentally use the question inflection. If I say to my daughter, did you take the cookie from the cookie jar? And she goes, no.
Oh, yeah.
Liars are asking, do you believe this? So we did a massive experiment in our lab where we had people play 2 truths and a lie with us. So share 2 truths about themselves and a lie. And we found overwhelmingly one of the biggest patterns, there's a couple of different patterns, but one of the biggest ones was that liars asked their lie statement. So like it would sound like this. Here, you can play with me and I'll add the question inflection to one. I love dogs. I live in Austin, Texas, and I love cilantro.
Oh, yeah. You don't like cilantro?
No. It's like a crime against humanity. Like, why do people put cilantro on anything? We noticed people asked the lie because they were asking, do you believe this?
I tell the truth even when I lie. Tony Montana.
Last week, the country that started the Industrial Revolution announced that they would be closing down their last remaining factory that can make steel from scratch, effectively ending a 265-year era. The UK was also about to become the only G7 nation without primary steelmaking. But then, just yesterday, something crazy happened. For only the 6th time since World War II, the British government called an emergency Saturday meeting to pass a law that would prevent British Steel from closing down. But here's why that's so wild. Because 1, British Steel is not British. It's Chinese. And 2, British Steel wanted to close down that factory because it was losing them £700,000 a day. So the UK government has now got this impossible decision to make. Either let it close down and risk national security, huge job losses, and be forced to rely on other countries for critical industries like defense or infrastructure. Or the other option is to take control of British Steel and absorb those losses of close to £1 million a day, a cost that is paid with by taxpayer money. And after much debate, they decided that the cost of doing nothing and letting the factory close down would be much higher in the long run. So, lawmakers passed an emergency rescue. But here's the risky part. There's no guarantee that the government can turn the operation around. If demand doesn't improve or cost doesn't fall, it could literally become a bottomless money pit. And lastly, the law that they passed gives the government operation, but not even ownership of British Steel. The only other large-scale steelmaker in the UK is Tata Steel, and they are owned by India. So the question is, can the British government turn this situation around, or are they cooked?
You know what? I think China low-key runs the world.
European luxury companies tried to blame America's tariffs for the recent price hikes, but were unexpectedly exposed by China, who revealed the insanely greedy markups they're actually charging. Multiple European luxury brands, including Prada, Gucci, and Chanel, recently raised their already sky-high prices. These companies argued that the increases were necessary in order to protect their businesses and employees from the financial effects of the tariffs. However, this excuse angered owners of manufacturing companies in China, who took to social media to reveal that these European companies are raising prices purely out of greed. They claim that even at a 20 to 50% tariff rate, the prices these brands charge ensure that they will still make a profit of more than 2,000%, and they have actual evidence to back up these claims, as one poster who operates an OEM factory which produces the actual products that these luxury companies put their brand on and sell to consumers. He showed that one bag, which retails at $38,000, actually only costs about $1,400 to manufacture, which is a markup of more than 2,700%.
Yep, I saw that video. This has always been a thing. You have always been able to buy this from DHgate, AliExpress, Alibaba. You can even find vendors on WhatsApp or Reddit.
Historical photos you haven't seen before. North Korean leader Kim Il-sung showing a baseball-sized tumor on his neck, 1984. This is Ham the Astro chimpanzee being trained to travel into space, 1960 to 61 after his spaceflight. A man convicted of murder is imprisoned in a wooden cage on a street in China. He will be left to die of thirst, starvation, and exposure around 1930. A drunken man in a basket bars in Turkey employed basket man whose job was to take patrons home who were too drunk to stand up. A Turkish peasant performs his last prayer before being executed by Bulgarian soldiers.
Wow.
Apparently it's impossible to buy a Birkin bag. Let's put it to the test. I entered the store and security is everywhere. I asked to buy their nicest bag and they said this.
We don't have any stock available at the moment. All the Birkin go as a wish list.
I asked how long the wait is and they said
3 to 5 years.
What? 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, what can I do to get it quicker than that? Now that they knew that I was serious, they took me upstairs to their private showroom. They showed me the most expensive bags they had in store. $30,000 bag. Hermes drives up the value of their bags by making them seem scarce, but that is a lie. They're rumored to produce over 200,000 bags a year and keep supply low by burning any bag that isn't sold. Follow for more.
DHgate is your answer now. Stop getting ripped off by this greedy billionaire.
We just ruined this girl's whole career. And I don't feel bad. You guys may already know Snow White is officially the worst movie of all time. It's got 1.5 out of 10 stars. That is horrendous. It's gotten so bad to the point where she is limiting comments on her Instagram because she's getting so much backlash for her shitty performance in the movie. Y'all are being ruthless in the movie reviews too. I seen someone say I'd rather watch paint dry. I've seen another person say the best part of the movie was the credits at the end. Just got me thinking she is never getting another main role again. Because
yeah, I don't think so.
On her resume. Having this on your resume is like being a felon and trying to apply to be a teacher. Get the out of here. Like, am I the only one who can see a world where she's auditioning for another big role for a big film and the director just looks at her and is like, yeah, this you? Worst movie of all time? Yeah, first door on your left. Get the out of here. We ruined her life. Now give me a high five because that shit was ass.
Snow White and the 7 viewers.
Now I've seen this video of my brother Kodak and I feel a call and he's actually wearing this Donda chain. And it's not just because he's wearing a chain, but it's like how he's sitting here wearing this chain unless something's saying to go and get my brother. And I thought about it before. I was like, man, I should go down to Miami. Maybe I could be the person that could make a difference. And that's what I'm about to do right now.
I think Kodak is under a spiritual effect. Oh, by the way, I'm doing electric therapy.
Dire wolves aren't wolves, but it might be dire. I take it back. I was excited, but the more you look at it, the worse it gets. The dire wolves are actually closer to being related to African jackals, and they're so far removed from all of that that they weren't even wolves to begin with. To be fair, we do that a lot. The saber-toothed tiger wasn't a tiger. The Irish elk wasn't an elk. And like I said, they genetically altered a gray wolf to recreate a dire wolf. But like, gray wolves and dire wolves aren't even in the same genus, so it feels more like scientists letting their nuts hang than trying to bring back an extinct species. And that's the thing, like, now that I think about it, what is the end game here? It can't be to reintroduce them, because that's just dumping GMO wolves into the world. Even if they did act exactly like dire wolves, whatever niche, whatever they did back in the day probably isn't there for them today. Someone would have to get screwed. Also, and I didn't even think about this, I got this from a comment, but for them to make 3 fully healthy GMO wolves, how many wolf puppies had to die to do it? The number can't be 0. Nah, but like the real problem is that some people are using the de-extinction thing as an excuse to take wolves off the endangered species list. If you know the story here, that is a no-no. So yeah, I take back all of my excitement. I thought the concept of what it could be used for was cool, but the plot took a left turn at Albuquerque. It been lost. To be fair, I did say it wasn't an actual dire wolf, it was a genetically altered gray wolf, but it's more like an artistic interpretation of a dire wolf come to life. The problem is when you got articles saying it's a dire wolf full stop. No. I might be part of the problem. I might have to delete that first video. Yeah, we should just retire from playing God with animals altogether. I mean, we still haven't recovered from dire bees. But that's for another video.
I might be wrong. I think the gray wolf is actually related to the dire wolf. But what do you think?
You know what's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart.
And is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of hard to see.
That is.
Here we go.
Yeah. Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
She didn't really close it again. Come on out, guys.
Conspiracy theorists or people with eyes?
China is nearing the completion of the highest suspension bridge in the world, and this thing is insane. It stands 9 times higher than the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco at a staggering 2,050 feet. That is over twice the height of the Eiffel Tower, and it's almost a mile long. This means that it will also surpass the length of the UK's Hammer Bridge, which held the record for the longest suspension bridge for 17 years. But the craziest thing is that to build this, they essentially had to drill a skyscraper-sized tower to the side of a cliff. Not the bottom, the side. And they still said that that would be able to hold a multi-lane highway on it. And because of this, they literally had to create custom construction platforms where workers had to operate cranes while suspended thousands of feet in the air. Construction of this thing began in 2022, and they say that it'll be fully operational this year.
Wow. Making that in 3 years is absolutely crazy.
Only reason we have killed this man today is because Muslims are dying daily by British soldiers. And this British soldier...
That man beheaded a UK soldier on this busy street in Woolwich, southeast London. Soldier Lee Rigby was walking up this road in 2013 before he became the victim of a barbaric attack. He walked up this road on his way to his workplace, the Woolwich Artillery Barracks. However, lying in wait at the top of the hill were Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adebowale. They were ready to attack any soldier that they came across. When they saw Lee, they ran him over and proceeded to behead him before giving an interview to a member of the public. They then charged the armed police and were subsequently shot, and both are now serving life sentences in UK prisons. What happened that day shook the entire nation and was broadcasted all over the world. I'd like to say RIP to Lee Rigby and also offer my condolences to his family. I sincerely hope something like this never ever happens again.
Rest in peace.
What Alicia Keys said at the Grammys was wild. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
So thank you for this massive award, this massive honor to everyone who has ever been touched by the music and the message. Dez and my brother Jay-Z, Team Rock, Adam Blackstone, Hell's Kitchen, the Most High.
As
Most
above,
High,
so below.
Hell's Kitchen, the Most High.
Oh, and she held that out there for a while, just pausing so we knew what she was talking about. And if you don't know, all I'm going to tell you is that you got to get on Google, start doing some homework. The serpent is moving through the music industry.
Look what's happening in this room tonight. This room is unstoppable, it's powerful, it's uniqueness at its finest, so never stop being just like you.
Yeah, just be you. It's okay. Eat of the fruit. God's just hiding something from you. He doesn't want you to see the full power that's inside of you. Be you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to go back and read Genesis 3 very carefully. The most important thing I can tell you in this video is that if you haven't called on the name of Jesus for forgiveness of your sins, I hope and pray that you do that today.
Today's the
I'm
day.
not talking about a religion. I'm not talking about a church. I'm talking about a personal relationship with Christ, the creator of the universe, God in human form, who
Amen.
put himself on a cross for you alone. My friend, one of the most difficult things for us to do as people is just to admit when we're wrong, and especially in the area of having broken God's moral law. None of us is perfect. The Bible says that we're all sinners, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But God, in his love, in his mercy, in his grace, he became the sacrifice for our sins to pay the debt for our sins. And in exchange of us humbling ourselves and repenting of our sins, God gives us eternal life, and he gives us love and joy and peace and a sound mind. I hope that you call on his name today. God loves you.
Jesus Christ is King.
The all-female Blue Origin flight that took Katy Perry into space has been deemed fake by conspiracy theorists. After the New Shepard capsule landed, Jeff Bezos used a special tool to open the hatch to greet the all-female crew. But footage from minutes earlier clearly shows the capsule door being opened from the inside, before being quickly shut again. While the strange moment has been hailed by some as definitive proof the mission was fake, experts say it simply shows just how tightly choreographed the whole event was. Jeff Bezos was also probably trying to gain back some dignity after casually face-planting while running to welcome his fiancée back to Earth.
No helmets, no boots, no real protective gear. Come on, man.
Chaos erupting at a concert outside of Mexico City after singer Luis Conríquez told the audience he would not be singing narco corridos or narco ballads, songs that glorify drug cartels and the drug trade, and are banned in some Mexican regions. Narco ballads came under renewed scrutiny after the band Los Alegres del Barranco projected images of El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, during a performance in March. The band was set to play in the Bay Area at the end of April, but the United States canceled their work and tourist visas following the incident in March. That decision announced by Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau in a post on X, saying, in part, "I'm a firm believer in freedom of expression, but that doesn't mean that expression should be free of consequences."
Everyone comparing this to rappers. Most rappers are fake gangsters. The cartel is not at all.
Okay guys, today I'm going to show you around the largest wholesale market for bags in Guangzhou. This market was built in the year 1993, covering 43,000 square meters. There are more than 700 shops in it, with each shop specializing in their own styles and designs of bags. Come on, let's go. And of the 700 shops, this one is mine. Come have a look. This showroom is just a fraction of all the products, all the bags we have. You recognize this style and all the others. Anything you want.
Wow.
As you see, there are more than 700 shops selling all kinds of bags just in this one market, and there are many other markets in Guangzhou. And also there are so many factories making all kinds of bags. Why you should select and buy bags from us? What is our strong suit? Let me just tell you this. The real OEM factory for those luxury brands. We are the same group of people, the same group of artisans. We know how to make them real. We know how to make them good.
I found something really weird about the 11-minute trip to space that happened today. So if you didn't know, the first all-female crew went to space today for a couple minutes. It included people like Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, the fiance of Jeff Bezos. And watching from the bottom was Oprah Winfrey, Kris Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, a lot of celebrities involved with this. First of all, I want to talk about the outfits and the symbol in particular on the outfits. At first, it looks like just a rocket or a pod, whatever it is. But when you flip it upside down, it looks really interesting, almost like a symbol that we've seen before. And I'm not saying that this is anything demonic or anything like that, but
just say it, man.
I mean, the similarities, it's hard to ignore. I don't know who created the logo, but the outfits themselves were designed by Lauren Sanchez, and she collabed with the co-founders of Monse, which is a really popular brand. But anyway, here is a map of the flight that they took. It's done by Blue Origin, owned by Jeff Bezos. It's his company. And here are the timestamps. You can see exactly how it went down. It looks like they were in space for about 2 minutes, or the edge of space for about 2 minutes. And when they came out and landed, everyone was super emotional. I mean, Katy Perry coming out and she is kissing the ground. And there was a whole live stream going on when this was happening. You can also take a look here at what she said.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
How did they make such huge statues?
Hold up. So they say they was in space for how long? I'm sorry, but y'all really expect me to believe that this whole space trip took less than 10 minutes? Come on now. Here they go, once again, playing right in our face. And people just eat that shit up. So you mean to tell me they launched these women into space, they unbuckle their seatbelt, get to float around or whatever, look through that tiny ass window, see space, and then make it back down within that time frame that they showed? Nah, I don't think so. But what's wild to me is Blue Origin said that this is a 10-minute mission, but the landing post came back 7 or 8 minutes after launch saying that they welcomed them back. They came back successfully. So something's not adding up. The math is definitely not mathing. And then they want to show us footage from outside the motherfucking capsule. I want to see the footage from inside the capsule. I want to see them up in space. I want to see them floating around, talking, looking, pointing out that little window, saying, oh my God, we made it something. Don't show the outside, show the inside cam. Show when they're going up, when they're up, and when they're coming down. So until I see inside that capsule of all the footage of them going up, coming down, floating around, doing all that, etc., 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 y'all can kiss my, because I don't believe that shit. I don't believe it.
You know, they left 2 people in space for 9 months, yet they send random pop star to space with no problem. 100%, I believe it.
The #1 most anti-inflammatory food in the world is not turmeric, it's not ginger, and it's definitely not blueberries. Just 1 little teaspoon of this food can reduce joint inflammation better than ibuprofen. It has been used for thousands of years, and it has outperformed turmeric and ginger in reducing inflammation by 60%. The #1 most anti-inflammatory food in the world is called black cumin seed oil. Some people call it black seed oil. The unique compound in black seed oil is called thymoquinone, which has a direct anti-inflammatory effect comparable to over-the-counter pain medications.
Yesterday was ginger, yesterday was turmeric, and today is black cumin seed oil. I wonder what will be tomorrow.
So if you guys haven't seen what's going on with Chinese manufacturers on TikTok, you have to look this up. Like I'm sure many of you have, I ended up on Chinese Warehouse TikTok, and they're leaking all the secrets about how our stuff is made. For example, Birkin bags that are like $38,000, they show how they're made, and honestly, the quality was really good. But altogether, those Birkin bags that are $38,000 came out to about $1,600. Laundry pods were $20 for $1. And in America, that would have been like, what, $13? And the craziest part is they're showing people how to order directly from the manufacturer in China to where you can avoid the tariffs and not pay American prices for any of those products. And we're talking every shoe brand you've ever worn, every clothing brand you've ever worn, anything that you buy, they have shown us how to order it for a fraction of the price. It is such an epic level of petty, and I love it so much. And the thing is, what do American companies think we're gonna do? We're gonna pay their prices rather than Chinese prices when I can get 1,000 times more product for the same price as we get here. We're not going to do that. These Chinese companies called our bluff. They were like, oh, you want to put a tariff on us? Okay, here's every product you buy in America at an inflated price for a fraction of the cost. This is the craziest Uno reverse card I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, have fun going down that rabbit hole and tell me the things that you found are cheaper in the comments. I appreciate your faces.
Who knew the tariffs would be a step, towards eating the rich?
Lisa already warned us about something terrible that will happen on April 15th, 2025. In a lost episode of The Simpsons that never aired, Lisa stares at a flickering screen. The date, April 15th, 2025, flashes repeatedly in red. Suddenly, the city goes dark. Streetlights die, electronics shut off, and bank accounts reset to $0, 0 cents. All TV broadcasts cut to black, replaced by one chilling message, take shelter. Military planes roar through the sky, while armored trucks roll through silent streets. A terrified news anchor appears, trembling, repeating, this is not a drill, this is not a drill. The sky turns a deep crimson, glowing unnaturally, as if something is about to descend from above. Coomer rushes to an ATM. It swallows his card, then displays a glowing eye staring back at him. Inside the White House, the president, his shadow eerily similar to Biden's, descends into a secret bunker. Troops begin locking down major cities. Hours later, leaked documents confirm what fans feared. This was no episode. Lisa's warning was real.
Well, I'm watching this on the 18th. Nothing happened.
There's some crazy things happening in the world right now. Lamborghini is now selling a $5,000 baby stroller. Thanks, my daughter. You will not be getting that. Portugal's first AI real estate agent just surpassed $100 million in sales. A Japanese art exhibit features a chained robot dog that lunges at visitors. A 12-year-old built a nuclear fusion reactor in his playroom. Indians now own more property in London than the English do. A Tennessee man claims that his 1-year-old pit bull named Oreo shot him. Speaking of Oreo, the company now has its own doomsday vault in Norway to preserve its recipes in case society ends. It was found out recently that a woman had locked her stepson in a bedroom for over 20 years. Volkswagen sold more sausages than cars in 2024. Brazil bulldozed a portion of the Amazon rainforest to build a highway for, get ready for it, a climate summit. Less than 40% of all internet traffic actually comes from humans. Tiffany Gomez, the crazy plane lady that was a meme, got an email recently to save her frequent flyer miles, even though she was banned from that airline. 2 Harvard students hacked Meta's Ray-Bans to recognize strangers in real time and have conversations like they knew them with details about their life. Gene Simmons charges $12,500 to be his assistant and roadie for a day. Citizenship to a tiny Pacific island costs $105,000.
It's crazy. Bro casually built a nuclear reactor for fun.
You remember when you talked about La Blancanieves? Yeah. If you want to just give like a brief rundown of like where it was or like what it was?
It was kind of like a Disneyland, but in Mexico. But there was a lot of bad stuff that would happen in that specific spot, and it was all allegedly because it was built on top of a cemetery, like a graveyard. And there was this one specific statue, which is a Snow White statue.
Yep.
Of La Blancanieves, and she's cursed. So warning: if you don't want to see her, you don't have to.
She moves around and stuff. There's like footage of her like blinking.
How many tries?
There's been a recent video of a guy who was around that area exploring it, and then he sees La Blancanieves move. Yeah, and they're pretty far, bro.
Is that walking on it by itself?
Yes. Then they run to it. Bro, I don't know. These are brave. I would not run to that.
Perdón, perdón. Bro.
No digas mamadas, güey.
Nah, bro, that's crazy, bro. You see that, bro?
You hitchhike with bare feet? In the summertime, yes, but not in the wintertime. It's not healthy to go barefoot in the wintertime. No driver's license, no identification. What about social security card? I don't have one. No, my parents did establish a social security number for me, and the card said not valid unless signed, so I never signed it. And then I studied the issue, and I decided to revoke my social security number. So in a way, you don't exist. And I had a birth certificate, but there was a flood and it washed away, so I don't have that either. I don't exist in the eyes of the government, but I do exist in the lives of people that know me and my Father in heaven.
Amen.
So you got to come out of the house if someone calls. Yep. So why do you have the phone out of the house? Distraction? Yeah. If I'm studying my Bible or something, I don't want to be interrupted. I come out here to check messages, and when it's convenient for me on my schedule, I come, and then I'm going. This is how you get your water? Yes. I've got a little gutter on the back of the shed here, and just filled up this rain barrel, and then I just dip it out. No filter? No. Do you ever read, Titus? Yes, I like to read my Bible, and I like to read history.
What happens if he gets sick?
I saw one guy get raped inside there by the cops.
Oh, man.
And they caught on his phone, he had a video of an execution of a cop, and while they were torturing him, he was telling them, like, you don't know who I am? Watch when I get out, I'm gonna kill you guys, this and that. And they pulled down his pants and they raped him with a broomstick.
Oh, God.
So when they caught me the second time, the time that I'm telling you that I was looking at the sky and I was like, I think this is gonna be a long trip. They saw me and they're like, you again? Like, you think this is a 5-star hotel? Bro, they didn't take off my clothes this time. He crotch kicked me. Bah! He lifted me up like this much from the floor. I went, huh! And they put me straight into the room, and they started they busted one of my eardrums this side. I can't hear very well on this side. They broke one of my ribs. They messed me up bad. They didn't want information. Like, we don't want information anymore. He's like, you're not getting out.
That is inhumane. But there's a saying in America, don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
This guy was really confused to inherit a random pair of jeans when a family member died one day. But little did he know, these jeans were actually the best gift he could have gotten by far. You see, although Jock Taylor had no idea whose jeans these were, he soon learned that they'd just been sitting in his trunk for as long as anyone could remember. No one in the family really thought much of them, so they just kept getting passed down. But when they finally reached Jock, he realized that they could actually be worth something. That trunk actually belonged to Jock's great-great-grandpa Solomon Warner, who died in 1899. So when Jock took a closer look at these jeans, he was surprised to realize that they had exposed rivets, only one back pocket, and no belt loops. Since this was completely out of the ordinary for Levi's, Jock just decided to get them appraised. But that's when he was mind-blown to learn that these were probably the oldest unworn pair of Levi's on the planet. As it turns out, they had been made 125 years ago, but were still in pristine condition since Solomon had barely worn them. But when Levi's actually offered Jock $50,000 for them, he somehow turned them down. A jeans expert said this was a bad idea, since very few people would pay more with Solomon being 6'6" with a 44-inch waist. But Jock somehow ended up selling them for $100,000 to a guy in Asia.
Yeah, but you were just lying to us about this, that, and the other thing. And now I'm supposed to believe you're one of the good guys. You're one of the straight shooters now.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to the original point.
Joe Rogan never said that that's AI generated.
Exposing the weirdest experiment in weather history. Did this scientist really snack on a cloud? Meet Dr. Nimbus McFluff, a quirky scientist with one big dream to taste a cloud. Armed with a paramotor, a Ziploc bag, and a snack-sized dose of curiosity, he soared into the sky. His mission? Capture a piece of cloud to eat. Now, if you're wondering, clouds are made of tiny water droplets and air. Not exactly gourmet, but Nimbus was determined. He zoomed into the fluffy white sky, scooped a Ziploc full of misty goodness, and, the moment of truth, he opened the bag, inhaled that sweet cloud aroma, and took a sip. Turns out clouds taste like... wait for it, nothing but Nimbus. He called it the taste of adventure. Would you ever eat a cloud? Let me know below.
Look what we got! It's a cloud! Cloud from the sky on the ground. What? Let's try to...
Hey, it ain't
This
no
guy.
you just dreaming.
Flat earther or a round earther? Do you think the earth
Gang,
is flat or you think it's round? Which one are you?
Gang,
I think it's round.
Gang, it ain't no earth.
Oh, Common said he think it's flat.
Gang, it ain't no earth. You just dreaming. It ain't no earth. Nothing here is real. You not even real. Right? You AI. Really? You got like the first AI. There are a lot of people don't know. What year is this?
2025.
How you know? This ain't 2025. Listen, let me tell you how it works, right? So, say for instance, who your grandma is? Who's
grandma?
Yeah,
My grandma Ella Mae, man, rest in peace.
Who is your great grandma?
my great grandma, my Dorothy, man, rest in peace.
Who's your great grandma?
I don't know now.
Right, you don't know. Right, that's how they did it. That's how they did it. Listen, so this is what they did. They went all the way back and killed all of those people, and then gave you a history, and then left stuff here for you to find. And a lot of people don't know. It ain't no 2025 gang.
You only can be alive once you understand you're dead.
There's something about Elon Musk. I think it was at the inauguration. He was standing behind Trump and he was channeling. I saw it.
Really?
I don't know who saw it, and people were talking about how he was acting weird, but I've experienced this personally, so I can say that that's what I saw. This energy came into him and he was looking all around the room. It was like he was another being that was coming through and seeing what's going on. I mean, I definitely believe that he has assistance with his technology.
I mean, anyone at that level, I feel like, has some sort of influence or assistance, right?
Yes.
There's just no way you get to that level.
I agree.
Without it.
100%. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
When you look at Elon, what do you see? Do you see
I see an alien.
I see an alien.
Yeah,
I've always seen a freaking
100%.
alien. He's a freaking alien.
Yeah. The way he acts and talks.
Yeah, like he doesn't care what anybody thinks. He is just there for the ride, baby.
Yeah.
There's
Like even when he expresses emotion, it seems fake. It doesn't seem human.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
He's so smart. It's just a different level, right? Shout out to him, though. He's changing the world. We'll see how it ends up.
He's autistic, calling him an alien for his eccentric behavior.
There are good people in the agency, but there are scumbags that work in our agencies. And I know them, and they're making money. They're $1 million people, and their $1 million companies are going to be exposed if it's the last thing I do. And you'll see the ties around the world to the $1 million intel people who've made money off the backs of young American kids who have died in wars while they make money. And I'll give you example after example of that. In Russia, in Ukraine, around the world, in Libya. That's what's wrong. And until we understand that, it's not going to stop.
Drop the names.
Really obvious at this fucking point. You know what that looks like from her point of view, right? Turn the patch around. I don't think they care anymore. Something else I really just can't understand is who the hell goes to space for 10 minutes? Something is not adding up here, as usual. Can't make this up. You couldn't do it if you tried. Are you kidding? There's never been such clear video. Are you really telling me, too, that they were up there for 10 minutes and they did all this? Look at this. What the hell happens to her?
See, sometimes people consider daisies weeds because they grow everywhere and through everything, and they show up in so many different places. But daisies are just so resilient. And flowers, for me, I believe, are like God's laughter.
We've seen redonkulous things, right? So we go down to Chiapas, Mexico. We're rescuing kids down there. I mentioned that one that portaled through Zoom from Chiapas, right? So there's all kinds of next level demonic witchcraft, next level witchcraft down there. So things that manifest, you go, whoa, what is that? I never even heard of like a hybrid spider type person, and that's why all these kids say, you know, man, she looks like a spider. She has many arms. Well, of course, if you go into India, you know, you got all kinds of gods and deities that have multiple arms. The largest Mayan pyramid on the planet Earth is in Chiapas. We are rescuing children in the shadow of that thing. You can literally see the pyramid from my ranch.
Wow. From your ranch?
Yeah, we have a redemption ranch there.
Wow.
And so, and again, we bought turf. We bought physical dirt. We brought in a ministry that's been there for 9 generations. We turned the whole thing over there so that we would have authority within that region. Okay? You don't just come in there swinging the American flag. You come in there in the authority of the kingdom, and you need to know how to operate in authority. So with all that said, we did all this. And at our hotel, there's this big giant rock that has a giant footprint in it. And it's monstrous. I went down there with Brian Schwartz. He's an NFL football player. He wears a size 17 shoe, okay? This thing was twice the size of his shoe. I hear that you guys got giants down here. And they're like, yeah, we do. And like, okay, well, would they come up out of the ground? Or are they going to, like, yeah, they live in the ground. And they're like, but that's not as scary as the ones that come out of the sky. And I'm like, the ones that come out of the sky? And they said, yes. And they come down and they look like stars and constellations, and they manifest into what look like people. And they threaten us if we don't give them things. Wow. So it's like, I know that there's a species of angels that's called the host of heaven. The host of heaven is the constellations. So you can see that whenever Jesus was born, that the shepherds are out in the field, the angels came down as the host of heaven. Well, they were used to seeing those constellations every single night, you know, and they were used to seeing Virgo the Virgin, a clump of stars that is a virgin that has a seed in her, which is impossible. And then from there, Libra, he's going to be a redeemer. From there, Scorpio, he's going to take on death. From there, Sagittarius, he's going to raise from the dead. And it ends at the line of the tribe of Judah, Leo, which is the ecliptic. And so I'm into all that, right? They knew the story in the heavens. The angels that showed up were as those constellations. They're also known as the stars of God. They're also known as the stars. I can guarantee you some of those have fallen. Some of those have rebelled. And they show up down there. The stars come down, they manifest, and all kinds of craziness happens.
Fallen angels, demons are inside of the earth. They are not aliens.
Y'all, I just can't with this world anymore. So I just found out
this is crazy.
About what goes on in Afghanistan and what happens to little boys in Afghanistan. And if you have a soft stomach, you probably want to keep scrolling, okay? This is one of those times where viewer discretion really is advised. So young boys in Afghanistan don't have a real childhood, okay? And what I mean by that is there's a documentary that came out called The Dancing Boys of Afghanistan.
Yep.
And what will happen is that in these villages, they will choose young boys, and typically it'll be a few of them. It'll be one per village, and they'll have this young boy parade himself around to sell himself to all of the men in the village. In each village, one of these boys belong, quote unquote, to the men in the village, where they can do whatever they want to them. When I say whatever they want, I mean whatever they want. You could think of what they do to these dancing boys. And they're always just as young as around 7, 8, 9 years old. So really young little boys. And they will take turns doing you know what to the little boys, over and over again, passing the little boy around, but it lasts until they get old enough to become part of the group of men who does it to the next generation of boys. And it's so bad that they only use women for reproduction. They don't actually care to have them as far as their desires go. They just use them for reproduction. They use the little boys for fun, is what they say. And so the hypersexual, y'all know what I want to say, culture in Afghanistan and in different parts of the Middle East needs to be studied, and these boys need to be saved, because what are we even talking about?
Yep.
And although those of you are going to say, well, this always has gone on. This was my first time hearing about it, okay? And this is sickening and disturbing. And like Satan, dude, like his imprint is on the world like no other, bro. This is insane to me.
It's still on YouTube. It's called Dancing Boys of Afghanistan. Sickening.
There's a Snow White theory. I know you never heard this one. What happens in Snow White? You know how she dies because she bites the poisonous apple? And at the end of the movie, all of the dwarves are around her body and they just left her there lying.
Yeah.
Until the prince came, and what happened? Kissed her, and she came back to life, right? But what if she didn't come back to life?
She would just like die, right?
Because at the end of the movie, it's a little bit interesting because it's almost symbolizing that she didn't really come back to life.
What happened?
She was just being carried to heaven.
Whoa.
On a white horse. What does a white horse represent?
I forgot.
Death.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. To where? A castle in the clouds.
Okay.
So realistic, or what happened in the story theory was she didn't come back to life. She just died and was carried to heaven by the prince that brought her to the kingdom.
Have you guys ever heard of the Voynich manuscript?
No, I have not.
And it's wild. The Voynich manuscript was written between 1404 and 1438.
Okay.
240 pages of medieval codex showing very detailed constellations, unknown plants and roots, and a lot of undressed women.
Oh.
No one has been able to figure out what it says. But the language that's written, they said it looks very similar to Hebrew and Latin. They think it was a hoax by someone named Edward Kelly. He would go into these trances to where he would communicate with the angels. This book was supposedly written down by his followers of what the angels were telling him.
Spooky.
But I thought it was weird. Going back to the book of Enoch, it talks about fallen angels and what they were gifted in. One of them gifted in astrology. One was gifted in enchantments and root cuttings. This book is like all about plants and like very detailed drawings of like constellations that you couldn't even see with the naked eye. But I thought it was interesting too with the unclothed women, how the fallen angels lusted over the women of earth.
Yeah.
Is this like an account of like what they were like being taught? Because no one's been able to decipher it.
There's this thing, it's called the friendship case. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's very hard to believe. Basically happened in 1956. There was these Italian men apparently found this map of this castle that was close to them. They got there and these two, they said they looked like humans, but they weren't. One of them was 10 feet tall and the other one was 3 feet tall.
Stooges.
They were aliens. They went by W56, but apparently these alien people, they have these underground bases. They said they've been here for centuries. They even have bases in the ocean, and their whole purpose of being on Earth is to save humanity from themselves, especially regarding nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
But apparently there's 100 witnesses to these people, and there's photo evidence and video evidence of
Wow.
them showing them their flying saucers. But they said the only way that their technology works is if there is friendship and love.
What?
If we're not experiencing love within humanity or friendship or compassion, they said our technology doesn't work.
That's really cute.
Europe's not preparing for war. It's preparing for collapse. Let's be honest. And let's stop pretending this is about defending democracy, because it's not. France, Germany, the UK, these elites aren't gearing up for war with Russia because they care about freedom. They're doing it because their grip on power is slipping, and fast. Their economies are breaking. The middle class is crushed. People can't afford rent, food, or heating. Yet instead of helping, they're dumping billions into weapons. And now they're panicking. They sanctioned Hungary, a full EU member, because Orban refused to send more money to Ukraine, a country that isn't even in the EU. Let that sink in for a second. They punished a sovereign member state for not funding a foreign war. That's how desperate they are to keep this agenda alive. Meanwhile, Slovakia is breaking rank, Poland's pushing back, the AfD is rising in Germany, and France are doing everything to stop Marine Le Pen because the people support them and the elites can't stand it. So what do? They call them extremists. They smear them. They arrest them. They try to erase them from history. Why? Because these are the voices of the people, and that terrifies the establishment. So they fall back on the oldest trick in the book, crank up the fear, blame Russia, push for war to cover for their own failures. But the threat isn't coming from Moscow, my friends. It's coming from within, from the millions of people across Europe and the US who are done being lied to, used, and ignored. And yeah, it's happening in America too. The media repeats the same script every day, and Trump, he's the one punching holes straight through it. So what do? Well, we don't scream, we don't riot, we speak the truth. We ask the right questions, and we stop playing along. Because when enough of us refuse to lie, the machine breaks. And you know what? They know it.
I think Europe wants Russia's resources. French wants its colonies.
The tide doesn't actually come in and out. What happens is there is a bulge of water, two of them on opposite sides of the Earth, caused by the sun and the moon, and Earth turns inside that bulge. So when we say the water rises and falls tidally, what's happening is we are rotating into the bulge and then out of the bulge.
So the bulge is already there.
It's already there.
And all we kind of do is pass through the bulge.
Look up tidal notes.
There's a map in Minecraft that you can download and load up, and it's banned in several countries.
Why?
Yeah.
Let me show the video.
Don't tell me it has like your exact house, your exact living room.
No. Check this out.
This is a banned Minecraft map in multiple countries.
So it's banned in multiple countries.
It's a library and it contains
Why?
hundreds of written books in game. And I bet
So
you
check this out. So what it is, it's pretty much like it's a user-made Minecraft map, and it has written books of CIA secrets, conspiracy theories, and books that are banned in other countries. So specifically in China, there's a lot of books that are banned. You can imagine like Laws of Power and all these other like psychology books, right? Banned, but they have access through Minecraft because they can download that map and then read on the Minecraft books.
No, Minecraft is dead ass just not a game, bro. Minecraft is life, bro.
So
like,
imagine how many things you can hide. Yo, you know what's even crazy? Because we talk about the dark web sometimes, right?
Ancient ruins in Burma have popped out of the ground after an earthquake in what is now Myanmar. Okay, this is wild because Burma's actually gorgeous and they have a really rich culture. And unlike many other governments, the Burmese government gave the okay to excavate quickly after these were discovered. They're just starting, but this place is believed to be a palace and it is huge. Myanmar is known for the pagoda. This guy would have been the biggest one if the king that had commissioned it didn't die and an earthquake didn't take a lot of it out. But right behind it, you'll see what it would have looked like if it was finished. I'm not going to begin to try and pronounce that name, but the place is beautiful. Unfortunately, it was also damaged in this earthquake. But the form they used to build these temples is an advanced geometric concept called the Ford Circle. And the best example of this is their crowning achievement, the Shui Dagon Pagoda. Head to toe in gold, inside and out, the thing's an absolute unit. Locals say it's 2,600 years old, so we're gonna go with that. You gotta take a minute and realize how crazy this architecture actually is, though. The Ford Circle can be used to perfectly break up harmonic ratios in music. It is a fractal, meaning you can zoom into it as much as you want and the form will stay the same. You can even rotate it and the form will stay the same. It is also one of the only hyperbolic fractals. That's advanced geometry. It's used in deep learning for AI models. Also used in signal processing, and if we travel through a black hole, we have to use that geometry to navigate it, unless you are an Egyptian. There's a mathematical theory of everything called E8, and if you flatten it, it's the same shape as that pagoda. Myanmar is right between India and Cambodia. All three use harmonics in their architecture. Using new acoustic analysis tools and LiDAR, we are seeing so much stuff that is far more advanced than we ever thought, which makes new stuff like this even more exciting. And in 10 days, all of my previous work on all of this stuff will be completely eclipsed by my new project. New temple analysis, celestial mechanics, ancient theories of reality with my pictures and their pictures. if these guys were using some crazy spiritual technology of some sort, we should figure that out. And I'm here for it.
Myanmar is beautiful and the people are amazing.